Okay, welcome back everyone. Another video. I just saw on the earthquake news, I guess, USGS today, that this Kuril Island quake happened, this 6.1. And I just posted before this about these this Canada quake and I think Taiwan quake the day before. And if you saw that post that I just did a few hours ago, you know that these... Okay, rewind even before that. The last video I made, I was following this Pennsylvania quake, and in the middle of the video I said, oh wow, this Canada quake is in the middle of nowhere. And then I forgot if I think I might have mentioned the Taiwan quake also. And outside of that video, after the video, I went and checked them out, and sure enough, all two of those, the Taiwan quake and the Canada quake, lie on exactly the same geodesic as the Columbia quake from 2 or 3 days ago, right? So I thought I would just go over these latest quakes, Taiwan, Kuril Islands, Canada, and how it connects back to Columbia. But at least here's the latest, the Kuril Islands, and look at all those geodesic lines that are going through, 44 here, all incredibly tight fit to, what's this, Alaska and Caribbean, and Philippines and Caribbean, Taiwan and New Mexico. I mean, there's a whole bunch of these like straight lines that are just fanning out in all directions. But nonetheless, these straight lines are covering quakes on either side within 0.001, 0.002. These are like exact straight lines drawn across the earth. And as far as I'm aware, no one in the geology world is aware of this, as far as I've seen. I even started writing some professors, asking them, nope, nothing. So this is some new phenomenon I'm trying to understand, maybe make a predictor for. And if you saw the very first video of this whole series, I talk about my theory is that these are giant shear lines caused from different changes in rotation of either side of the globe that are causing the Earth to twist and crack. And I think these are like, I don't want to say new faults forming. I know that that'll offend people that are attached to the whatever plate tectonic model, but yeah, I think it is. I think it is actually new faults forming. Giant frightening global faults forming that have, crazy scary implications of the future, but never mind that. Let's just look at the data. And that says that all these quakes on the left side of Kuril Island are drawing straight lines to all the quakes on the right side of Kuril Island across Alaska, North America, Caribbean, and I guess some in South America too. All incredibly tight and precise. But so let's keep going back to the other quakes. Let me just check them out on the list. And while I'm here, here are the other quakes. So we are within 1 and 2 geodesics of Columbia and Canada, right? Taiwan is forming one of those geodesics right now. So that's why it says 0 degrees, because Taiwan and the Kuril Island quake is forming a geodesic to some other quake. But let's check the others out. What are these numbers? I don't have the numbers, but I'll just scroll back in time to each of them. And I guess as we go, so I guess I'll start here at island, and we have these. Let's watch this here. Let me reposition things. Watch these angles. I definitely need a better interface for this program, but I'm not much of a UI guy. I'm more of a 3D graphics guy, and even at that, I'm probably just more of a numerics and physics guy these days. But I'll work on the GUI. Don't worry. But so yeah, just cycling back through these quakes, following all quakes close to the Columbia one, Canada one, which is here up in Fort St. John, Canada. Is that British Columbia? I'm willing to bet. The Taiwan quake and Kuril Island quake. And let's just watch. So here we have one of these is already going right through Kuril Island. And this is just from, how long ago was this? This was 6/13/1835, and this is 6/13/1711. So get that. Just 1 hour prior in Alaska, on one of these straight lines, we had a quake, and the next thing you know, this island has a 6-point quake. Straight line to here. Straight line through here to something else. In fact, let's see if we can find what the other thing was. Bush number 1341. 1341. Oh yeah, top one. Within 0.0016 degrees, it goes through Kuril Island and Puerto Rico from Alaska. So straight line across the earth from here to here to here. And then just 1 hour later, 6-point quake strikes on that exact same straight line. What are the odds? So let's keep going back. What else? More Alaska quakes. This one's in line with the once again 0 degrees. This is forming a geodesic with Fort St. John quake. The British, I think it's British Columbia. Maybe it's something. Is it Northwest Territories? I don't know. But yeah, straight line through something else. Yeah, I need a better interface for this. There it is. No, Alaska. Yeah, from Papua New Guinea to Alaska, all these geodesics. There, Fort St. John. 0.0377 degrees geodesic from U.S. Virgin Islands, the Caribbean, to Canada to Alaska. Crazy, huh? And yeah, let's see, bring the angles. This is within 1 degree of the quake that was about to strike. So we had all this activity on this exact, like within, and I've noticed this with quakes that just pop out of nowhere right before bigger ones strike on a geodesic, is that it will usually be within about 1 to 2 degrees off of the geodesic. That here I am looking for correlation to prove a theory, and that's why I'm looking for all quakes within 0.1 degrees, and I'm highlighting 0.01 degree or 0.001 degrees and stuff, how defying the odds it is. But in terms of what I see, in terms of patterns that I'm just watching emerge, that I'm still trying to correlate and quantify, I usually see these pop up within like 1 degree, like this one here, like 1 degree off. And then what's this, 6/13/14, so this is 4 hours earlier, 1 degree off, and then that same fault line, or that same geodesic. We're not talking about fault lines, we're talking about straight lines across the entire Earth. It has a 6-point quake. So, that's a weird one. What do you know? Here, this is what, New Zealand? Oh, Tonga, right? Tonga quake, straight across through Canada, through the Canada quake I'm following, the Fort St. John, right on the line. And, oh wow, there's not many. Within 0.009 from Tonga to Hawaii to Canada. Isn't that weird? What are the odds of that? And here we have another, oh my gosh, look, it's 0 degrees off. Another one that's right on the geodesic. And then Kuril Islands, 0.8. And that's what I mean about, I might be searching for quakes only 0.1 off geodesics for validation, but usually I see the correlation, just eyeballing it, will be like 1 or 2 degrees off, or even as far as 5 degrees, especially these quakes that just strike out in the middle of nowhere. Usually there's activity, I want to say, within about 5 degrees of a whole bunch of geodesics that are going right across where it is about to strike, and then it strikes. So I need to do some kind of heat map. I've already said that a few times, but I need to do some kind of heat map for the sake of trying to find where things are about to go. I do have a heat map display, and it is ugly. For what it's worth, the odds of like 0.1 degrees off of a sphere versus, or off of a geodesic around a sphere versus the entire geodesic surface area, it's a pretty small percentage. I should do the math. Maybe I already did, I think. But it eliminates a good portion of the Earth, but it still leaves a lot. Like, you don't know where on that whole ring around the Earth it's going to be. So that's where the heat map stuff comes in. The heat map itself, I mean, here's like a rough example of the heat map. Here's all quakes, right? All quakes formed from all possible geodesics through all these circles. And it's pretty intense. This particular heat map that you're looking at, it's probably, I guess you could say, it's weighted by the number of quakes. It's drawing more geodesics for the more number of quakes, even if there are a whole bunch of small quakes. I need to do something better about that. I need to weight it by quake magnitude or energy, or maybe by the pairs energy or torque between them, or something like this, because this I will see activity on a straight line, and that straight line will not be very dark in this display. It will not be very highlighted just yet. So this is just a visualization thing for the app, but I don't think this is not my official model for prediction at all just yet. So I'm still working on prediction. So yeah, here's our angles. Here's our lines. This quake going once again through the Canada quake, going once again through Kuril Island quake. There really are not. This isn't a giant fanning pattern like we see from South Alaska fanning across East Asia and across the Western U.S. and Caribbean. These are just some independent straight lines, and they're still going through our earthquakes of interest. And here we got Kuril Islands once again. What do you know? This one's pretty far from everything else. See, 8 degrees, 7, 2 degrees, but then 0.8 for Kuril Islands. And this, what do you know? Wow, where is this one? Out Lasovo, Russia. This is directly on the money with Canada quake, Fort St. John quake, directly on with the Kuril Island quake. And yeah, that's a bit off. This is also, this one, yeah, here, this is on the Taiwan quake. If I just jump back to the Taiwan quake, this is on the Kuril Island quake. Whenever I say it's on, that means it's forming a geodesic with one other quake and the quake of interest. So it's like, it's going to be Puerto Rico, something else, Kuril Island. And to look up the something else, I've got to go in this list and find one of the two, 1329. Yeah, it's a sloppy interface. I will fix it, don't worry. But right now I'm just worried about, or thinking about, the model itself rather than making the app easy to use. Where is 1329? 0 degrees, Kuril Island. Oh, sorry, yeah, of course, it's not going to show up. 1329 won't show up here, but the others will. I forgot it's probably one of these 1200s. Oh, there it is. So yeah, 0.013 degrees from Kuril Island to Puerto Rico to Philippines, right? So direct line. What else? Nothing special with that quake, though that one did strike, was at Tonga once again. Remember the last Tonga quake we looked at was directly on a line with the St. John, Canada quake. And here we have, Philippines. This one's going also right through Kuril Island. This is my infamous or geodesics of dividing half the water half versus the land half of Earth. Any of these geodesics that go around the Pacific Ring of Fire, and then also St. John, Canada. Is this close to? We're not yet to Taiwan, but that's what I noticed about the Taiwan quake. Is it's like right in line with a lot of these other ones. Here, St. John, Canada is online. Kuril Island is in line once again. What do you know? Like, all of these are running right on this the Ring of Fire is practically making a lot of these geodesics. Once again, same two contestants. And there's this. It seems like this Pacific. It seems like it was Petrolia, California, that this quake was. Yeah, this one is the one that goes right through the Pennsylvania quake over here. I was looking at in the last video. But let me just keep going back until I get to. Maybe I should just skip out. Yeah, once again, zeros. We're right in line with our quakes that we're looking at. Let me just 0.8, still more right in line. 0.03. Let me just skip back to Taiwan. Speaking of Taiwan, so this is going right through. Wow, there's really not many. 1, 2, 3 lines or 3 groups of lines, and one of them goes right through Taiwan, and right as the sun is directly over its head. Isn't that weird? There's something to these planets. Look at this one over here. We have like a whole bunch of geodesics in kind of a bunch, and they're right over, I think that's Mars. Mars 0.09 degrees, Sun 0.7 degrees, right? I'm not completely discounting the planets just yet. I think there might be something to them, but I don't know what it is. So keep going. There's another one through Taiwan. Where are we? Solomon Islands. And this quake is going through Taiwan and it looks like South America somewhere. Is that? Oh wait, that's the green. Oh wow, the green one. The future. The green means future geodesic. So sometime within the next 3 days, this geodesic is going to, or the quakes of this geodesic will strike. And they are, it looks like, was that Tonga or somewhere, and Chile or South America somewhere. Maybe I'm off on my country. And what planet is that? Venus, 0.1 degrees off of this line. Weird. But the other one, yeah, today we're looking at Taiwan. There's this line is Taiwan. And that's going to be this line, which goes, there's the Chile quakes, South America. I think I can pull that up and find it quick enough. Or Argentina. Did I say Chile? Argentina. Vanuatu. Where's Vanuatu again? Tonga and Papua New Guinea. Somewhere on here should be Taiwan. Oh, hey, there's Petrolia, California. That quake that, in fact, does that go through Pennsylvania? Petrolia, California, Pennsylvania, and Solomon Islands, 1, 2, 3. Philippines, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, Taiwan. Oh, there's Vanuatu, Taiwan. There's our quake that goes through Taiwan. I guess it goes from here, and it must be some island here, because it's supposed to have it has a 10-degree threshold where it won't form a geodesic from. I guess that means it won't form a geodesic within. I have to check this. I think it's like 5 degrees or 10 degrees. It won't form a geodesic from the current quake to prevent too much overlapping geodesics results. But there's our geodesic that this one is on the line with. But there's only a few here, 14 distinct, but you can kind of count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going out the other way. So there's 8 other overlapping ones scattered in here. So I just need to sort of cluster my geodesics better. It is counterintuitive to cluster them when they're all sort of fanning out up in the Alaska and the East Asia and the West America. It's kind of defeats the point because there's just so many. But for all these quakes that strike in the kind of South Pacific area, it seems like there's only even just like 1 or 2 major geodesics going out of them. Oh, kind of like this. You can just count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then there's an extra duplicate somewhere in there. 9. This one here through Alaska has 2 on it. And then there's stuff like this, where once again we can count individual ones, but wow, each one of them is very active. 54 in total. We haven't quite got back to. Oh yeah, and look at these guys, like St. John's 0. In fact, look at St. John's right there. It's just a giant batch of geodesics. It says 19 in total. Looks like there's one way off here. It's going to happen in the future of when this event happened, and then the other 18 is just plastered over St. John's right there, or St. John, Canada. And then, yeah, Kuril Islands, 1.7. Like I was saying, these will be within 5 degrees usually whenever they're about to be something significant. But it's never as tight as 0.1 degrees, but still. But I'm trying to filter out unwanted noise, so... Still haven't got back to, even more, 0 degrees. Once again, it's Fort St. John. Isn't this weird? This quake, as far as I'm aware, is in the middle of nowhere. Maybe the continental divide is there. I don't know, I'll have to check. But it just popped out of nowhere. And all of these quakes for the last few days around the world just happen to draw lines with other quakes. Like this one's probably New Zealand or whatever these islands are. Is that Vanuatu or Tonga or something? Through Hawaii, through Fort St. John. And so all these are pointing at it. Oh, wait, I guess this says it's in the past. So this one has happened before Hawaii quake, and now it's shaking Hawaii. And where are we at now? Japan, 0.09 within Kuril Island. So there's the Pacific activity. Here's that infamous fanning pattern. All these geodesics just pointed everywhere, going through lots of quakes. And yeah, there's Taiwan is on the list. It's forming a geodesic with one of them, 0.2 from Kuril, 0.065 from Canada. So all these are just in the path of whatever's going on, whatever twisting and cracking is going across the whole Earth. More Kuril Islands, 0, Fort St. John, 0.7. I'm going to try to finish this, and I'll just kind of cycle back, and you can watch the numbers yourself, how small they are. Because, more zeros, more incredibly close geodesics, more activity in the usual suspects. And there's Idaho. I haven't seen Idaho in a long time. I remember like a week ago when I started these videos, Idaho was just going crazy. And then that just happened to be the one that touched Columbia quake. If I remember, I have to double check. I think there's geodesics going through Columbia, through Central America maybe. I forget. Wow, these two incredibly close. They're probably forming. And keep going back. And that guy, that's another weird one that just sort of popped out of nowhere, right? I don't think there's any fault lines there. Maybe I'm wrong. There's probably some mountain range or something. And what do you know? There's another Mars alignment with a geodesic with another quake as well. Quake alignment, Mars alignment. Or 2 quakes, I guess. It takes 2 quakes plus this quake, 3 quakes on a geodesic plus Mars. Where's Mars? 0.839 off. And then this is just obvious. So this is another thing that I want to do. I mean, there's a pretty typical, pretty well-known algorithm for rectangle fitting, for oriented bounded box fitting on point clouds. You just look at the eigenvectors of some kind of matrix you make. I forget what it's called, something matrix. And so I was thinking, speaking of heat maps, if I do a heat map from the earthquake points themselves, not from the geodesic lines, do a heat map from the earthquake points, and look at a certain isobar of the heat map, and then look at your oriented bounding box of that. That will be less overfit than my current 0.1 degrees of successive points model, I think. And that'll get these giant clusters in the direct line. You can just see them on the map like this or like this. Like I can just see that. That's a straight line of earthquakes that's spanning, hundreds, thousands of miles, I don't know. And that's kind of what started me into all this, is that I would just look on the map and say, hey, wow, there's a bunch of earthquakes in a straight line across multiple continents. Is anyone else noticing this? So I should really kind of step back eventually. I keep saying that, but here's me reminding myself again, I need to step back and quakes like this in the middle of nowhere that still draw lines through other quakes in bunches like this kind of remind me of that. Oh yeah, and also look at this these guys down here in Antarctic. I think that this one down here, this caught my attention. What are we at? 1296. Let me just fast forward to this quake down there. Yeah. So Balleny Island region, weird. This one is going right through Taiwan. What do you know? And it's way out here. It's in the Antarctic. It's probably going through these islands up here, which is probably like Tonga or something. Oh, wow. Afghanistan even. Interesting. Afghanistan and Antarctic. So there must be another Antarctic. And Bali Island. Is that forming a... Oh, yeah, there it is. So here, to the right, a few time zones, and then up here, Afghanistan. Weird question. And there, Fiji. Okay, so these are the ones that are going straight. Oh, what do you know? Mars once again. This is like three for Mars, right? Sun and Mars just keep lining up with these quakes. Here's another. The sun is lining up with this geodesic. What are the odds? But so these should be going up through Fiji, Alaska. I was so sure Hawaii would be on the list, but I guess not. Because never mind. I was mixing up Mars for Hawaii. So yeah, Mars, Fiji, and this Bali Island in the middle of nowhere. And that one also, Bali Island also goes through Philippines and Taiwan, and strangely enough, it's going through another Antarctic quake and Afghanistan. I remember watching one of the more famous earthquake channels talking about how these Antarctic and Arctic quakes are so rare. But man, every time they strike, it seems like they strike, connecting 2 or 3 quakes in a line. What are the odds? So let's go back to wherever we were. I'll just kind of skip back through these. I really just want to get to the Taiwan quake. There we were in the middle of Russia. Get to the Taiwan quake and end the video because I think I've talked too long already. There's Mars once again. How come Mars is just always in all these quakes? That's so weird. Mars 0.139. Mars, that's 2 degrees off, but it's right in the bunch of all these, right? And Mars 0.09 degrees off. Stop it, Mars. Stop lining up with all the data. It's too weird. And there's our quake next to the quake, right, that I just went over. And this one is going through Hawaii. I wanted the one over here to go through Hawaii. This one is, and then it's going up through Alaska. And is it going through Taiwan also? No, it's going through Kuril Island there. And then Alaska. I'm just going to skip back. There are lots of these line up. Good for them. There's the Antarctic quake once again. There. This is another case of just a tiny few geodesics really coming out of it. Columbia quake is in line over here, within 1.6 degrees. And where's Taiwan? I'll try to make an end to this video quick. There. Okay, there's the Taiwan and aftershocks. There's Taiwan quake. And Taiwan, what do you know? Right in line with Kuril Islands. And then Taiwan, this is what we're looking at. And right in line with Fort St. John. And right in line with Colombia. All of these, or at least this guy is here. This is Colombia. In fact, this is all in the same. This is why I wanted to highlight all of these. Because here we have Colombia, same geodesic. Fort St. John, same geodesic. And then Taiwan. Kuril Island, which just struck today, a few days ago. What was this, 6/11? This was 2 days ago. Kuril Island is on a geodesic with this, but it's not the Fort St. John Columbia geodesic. It's a separate one that goes across, what is that, Texas? I'm guessing. So it goes across Texas and then maybe South America. Let's see if I can find Kuril Island because it's touching this. Oh wow, Myanmar even. There's Myanmar, still shaking. And there's Mars. It's too far away for me to give Mars credit for this one, but it's kind of weird. Still popping up. Kuril Island and New Mexico, there it is. Within 0.0115 degrees. So there's the recent quakes I wanted to go over. Hopefully I didn't talk too long. Yep, quakes are still lining up in straight lines in odd places. In fact, look at this down here. This guy was shaking also. And yeah, I'll keep working towards hopefully narrowing down, maybe I can get some kind of, instead of just eyeballing things and saying this geodesic looks weird and then it shakes and has a big quake the next day, maybe I can actually find something calculatable pertaining to this. But until then, I'll just kind of review the data as it comes, and I'll catch you guys next time.